Good evening, everybody. This is Under the Shell podcast number 12, and we're so honored to have Anthony Ghazel here with us. And good evening, gentlemen.
Dude, Dimitar,
Hello.
you have COVID.
We are here.
I do.
We made it. Let's
Dimitar,
start with
you
that,
have
and then we'll
COVID,
get in
brother?
with. We'll get, there you go.
Yeah, I might be coughing here and there. Sorry about that. I'll try not to spit in the microphone.
Dude, we're socially distanced, dude. You're thousands of miles away. Thanks for having me, by the way. It's great to be here.
Thanks for being here, man. It's an honor.
Okay, let's talk about COVID real quick. So, how did this happen? Like, when did you start to feel sick?
Well, it was pretty unexpected because last week I had a PCR test. This is what it's called, right? PCR, the one. Yeah. So I had a PCR because I had some itching in my throat and stuff, and it was negative, and I was so happy. And then yesterday I started coughing and having some high temperature, so I figured maybe I should need to take another test. So I took it, and while I was waiting, because it's a shit ton of tests here and you wait like 24 hours for the results. And while we were waiting, the temperature got higher, the cough got worse, and I was like, yeah, that's not good. And like 2 hours ago, I got the results, and yeah, I'm pretty much positive, and now I'm a quarantine motherfucker.
Dude,
That's what the
awful.
result said.
I'm so
It said
sorry to
pretty
hear
much
that.
positive.
What you said?
The quarantine said, or the test result said pretty much positive.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, that sucks, man. I'm sorry. Also, I'm sure you know who Dimitar Berbatov is.
Yeah, he's a famous
Dude, I used
football
to,
player.
yeah, I used to watch a lot of football, as you guys call it. Manchester United. When he was on Manchester United, he was like one of my favorite players.
Well, I actually never nor understood, neither, were interested in football or soccer or whatever. So I just know his name, but this is as far as my knowledge goes.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right, so let's get into it. Let's get down to the bread and butter. Anthony, you're a fantastic drummer, and on top of that, you travel around with bands and do it for a living a lot of the time. Well, you used to, but now you're in a tough predicament. So run me through what's going on with you, man. How have things been? What are the struggles? What are some of the positives? What's up?
Yeah, yeah, dude, good to talk to you again. Well, basically, man, I was touring pretty much full time for about 3 years, leading up to leading up to February, when COVID kind of became a conversation, and I rehearsed for a tour with 100th. I was out in South Carolina. It was like February 1st or 2nd maybe, and this word COVID had been going around, and we were all kind of like, who knows, like it could be just a bunch of hype, like nobody really knows anything. But I do remember driving to a like random doctor clinic in Charleston and asking if they had any masks because we were about to go fly, and all of the Walgreens and Rite Aids and everything were all out of masks. And I didn't, nobody really knew anything about the virus, but I figured, hey, it's probably a good idea to wear a mask on a flight because even without COVID, almost every time I do an international flight, I get sick. And, when you're on like in a tube in the sky with like recycled air with 250 other people, like, that's not really a great environment no matter what, let alone the middle of COVID season. So we go on that tour. The tour was going great. You guys remember when Milan shut down? When that was big news?
That's when it got big.
Yeah, we were like 3 days out from playing Milan, and the whole city got shut down. The promoter hit us up and was like, "Yo, don't come through. Like, show's not gonna happen." So we took an extra day off, and we were in Munich in Germany, and yeah, I came home. I got home March 1st, and then by March 15th or whatever, everything was shut down in LA. And, you know, at first I thought, okay, maybe this is going to be a couple months or like a few weeks maybe, or I'm not really sure. And I wasn't too worried about, I don't know. I didn't really know what to think about it because I had a June tour. This tour never even got announced, but like 100th was going to go back to Europe in the summer to go play a bunch of festivals and do a little tour again. Plus other stuff I was working on. Like I played drums for an artist named Ryan Carveo, and we had some festivals and stuff like that. And it just, you know, one by one, things were getting canceled. And I kind of came to a turning point where it was like, you know, LA is expensive. The cost of living here is high. That's no secret to anyone. And it was kind of like, if I don't get a job, like if I don't get a job, like I'm gonna have to, like, I would have to go maybe live with family or like job searching. And luckily, before I was touring full time, I have had a little bit of experience in the food and beverage industry, what they call the CPG world. It's like the consumer packaged goods, pretty much everything to do with anything that's sold in a grocery store. And I came across this brand called Liquid Death, which has been blowing up, especially in Southern California. Good. And yeah, it's great. It's a water company.
Yeah, metal as fuck.
There's a. Have you had it, Wyatt?
No, I'm not familiar with it, man.
Oh, okay. It might be, you know, I should probably know this, but it might be at Whole Foods in Toronto. But anyway, so
yeah, there is. We have Whole Foods all over the place.
The team is great. Like, yeah, there's the founder, just like, he's such an awesome guy. The team is so great. Like, the brand really fits kind of who I am as a person. The whole thing is like death to plastic, you know. They're trying to kind of infiltrate the plastic water category. And so one of my, like, I thought it was cool because I'm so used to being in green rooms and playing shows where like there's plastic water bottles everywhere, and it always bothered me. I've even toured with an artist before who refused to have plastic water bottles on their rider. And this was like a year ago. We had glass bottles in all of our green rooms. And so, I don't know, man. It worked out. So I have a job with them now. It's been going great. And you know, things will, touring will resume eventually. But at this point, keep making videos. I've done a couple sessions for people. I recorded drums on the newest 100th record. We're working on, this hasn't been announced. When is this podcast going to come out?
Tomorrow.
Well, yeah, probably tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Okay. Well, I'll keep my mouth shut about some stuff, but, yeah, I've been staying as busy as I can. Like I was telling Wyatt this morning, I texted Wyatt. I woke up at 5:30 today, and he was like, "Dude, respect on the hustle." You know, I was like, I mean, I would like to take the respect, but it's just every day is like that. So I don't really think anything of it anymore. It's kind of just like I have to wake up early to maximize the hours in the day. But by like 6 p.m., you know, 7 p.m., my brain is just turned off. Like I just shut off. I drink tea and play video games and go to sleep early. So,
right on.
That's been what's up.
So there's been a trend now. It's just starting up. We've seen a few big examples of it. One was Post Malone, and then MGK followed suit recently. And then today, Motionless in White is jumping on board, and that's this like live concert medium where people are streaming like full sets on Twitch or on their own sort of platforms. I even was part of a festival. I was a part of the Modern Drummer Festival this year, and that was completely streamed online. Have you had the opportunity to get involved with anything like that so far?
That's a great question. So that's kind of what I was, you know, it hasn't been announced yet, so I don't want to like jump the gun on it.
Something.
That's fine.
Yeah, I don't want to jump the gun on it because it's not really my place to announce it. But yes, the answer is yes. I'm rehearsing every day I've been rehearsing because I'm flying out to film a live stream in a couple weeks.
Okay, so without announcing like who it is and when or anything, are you comfortable with maybe talking about your experience so far with what like the mindset is going to that? Because I would love to break that down for sure.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'd love to talk about this. So I find it to be really fascinating as well. So my cats are fighting right now. They're like play fighting. So if you hear any noise,
That's so cute.
They do this. I know they're great, dude. I have the best two cats, and they're so funny. They're best friends, but they like play fight all the time. You know, they just chase each other around the room and whatever. But this is a really fascinating thing because basically, Wyatt, you know my brother. You know, I live with him, and we talk about music every day. And I don't know if you guys remember at the start of quarantine. Dude, I looked it up. I think it was like the first week of April. Young Lean came out with a live stream. He did a live stream from the back of like a semi truck. You can look it up on YouTube. It's like a bunch of candles lit in the back of the semi truck, and it was basically just like an hour-long set of him playing through his songs with like backtracks. And at the time, April 2nd, like that was cool. It was like, whoa. Like I remember one of my buddies sent it to me and like I saw it and I was like, wow, this is badass. Like way to make use of the time and space and everything. And then fast forward to today, I just met the guy last weekend who like produced and directed the new Black Bear stream. And I don't know if you guys saw that, the new Black Bear live stream, but it's insane. It is unbelievable. Like how they did it, how they pieced it together, the whole production. I mean, the whole thing was just out of control. Must have cost a fortune. Hold on, I'm gonna get the cat off my desk before you. So Chris and I were talking the other day, like just about how far live streaming has come in like, what is that, 6 months? You know, now we have these people doing like, dude, just go find the Black Bear one. It's crazy. All right. And so I was down at this studio in Orange County last weekend. The reason I met this guy is because there's a studio in Orange County called Mix One, and it's a team of like professionals. They've got a projectionist there who works for Billie Eilish and Drake. They've got a whole camera crew. They've got a sound guy. Like these are all people who like do it on a very high level. And they built this space with like 3 LED walls and an LED ceiling. And have you guys seen any of the Fever 333 live stream stuff they've done? Or Volumes did one. Animals as Leaders did one. Did you see any of those?
I didn't see any of those.
No, me too.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's all right. Look them up. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's this room with LED walls. Fever rented the floor too.
I
saw the floor.
Animals one. I know what you're talking about.
Yep. Yeah. So I saw that studio in person, and it was essentially a bunch of industry people who all lost their work due to COVID. And then they're like, well, everyone's live streaming. Let's just build a live stream place. And now they're getting a ton of business. And
that's genius.
So I'm giving you a long answer to a short question, but my experience with it has been, I mean, dude, it's essentially like the way that most bands are doing it. And I don't think this is even a secret anymore, but it's not exactly live. Some bands are literally I do it live, but there's so many complications that come with that. Like it's kind of hard to sell tickets to a show that could just have a ton of technical difficulties. Like, and I know of bands who've done that. Like they sold tickets to a show and then put on a live stream and just it just was a total flop because they had technical difficulties. So a lot of bands are just like pre-recording these quote live streams. Now they're still doing full like band playthroughs of the songs. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's like they can be touched up a little bit. Like it just is what it is. It's just how it goes. But to me, it's fun because I'm like, this is kind of how I've always done drum videos. It's like you got to nail it in one take, or at least that's how I do it. Like, you know, for the most part, like there's been minor little edits over the years that Chris has made or whatever, but for the most part, generally speaking, it's like it's at least done in one take, but then you can kind of do a little bit of movie magic, use different angles, like do like the last few videos Chris and I have made. It's like we'll film the same song 4 times, take one of the audio takes, but then use all 4 of the video takes and just mash it all together. You see what I'm saying? And everybody does it differently. Like that's kind of how most live streams seem to be working these days, as far as I can tell. So as far as like preparing for one, you know, I'm using an SPD for this one. There's going to be some electronics. I'm going to have to do a lot of thinking and moving on the fly when I get to the studio, because we only have a couple days to do it. Really just one day to actually film it and one day of pre-pro. Kirby, chill, brother. But during pre-pro, like we're going to be working through, you know, there's a lot up in the air. A lot of these songs we've never played before together. So we got to figure out how we're going to execute them live in a scenario that's like going to be cool for a live stream. So I'm really excited about it, man. I can't wait. And then one of the other artists I'm working with a little bit is talking about maybe doing one maybe early next year or something. But I want to be a part of a bunch of live streams, man. I think they're badass.
I agree. And my follow-up question, you kind of brushed on a little bit, but I want to dive a little bit deeper. And it's to do with the how much should be pre-recorded, because of the streams I've watched, my favorite so far, by far, was the Post Malone one. And I think the big reason why it struck me, it was so powerful, was because it was completely authentic. The company that he hired was,
Are you talking about
like one of these companies that would...
Are you there?
Yeah, go ahead. What's the question? Sorry, I was just waiting for the latency.
I think it's okay. I think there's a slight delay. The question was, is this the live stream? Did Post Malone, is this the one he did with Travis Barker where they played like Nirvana covers? Is that the one you're referring to? Yes, sir.
That's the one I'm referring to. Yep, you got it. So the company he got to do this was essentially what they did was they set it up as if they were playing a festival, and they were using equipment to monitor the live aspect of what was being captured on stage for the fans that were further back. You know what I mean? Like that kind of production. It was as if you were in the crowd of a festival and you were instead of watching the band in front of you, you're watching the band on a big monitor above the stage or the sides of the stage or wherever the case may be. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. And because it was so raw, you know, when Post Malone would spit, or when he would take a sip of beer, you'd hear it in the mic, or when Travis would be, you know, whatever between songs, because it was like so unbelievably raw, it made me feel like I was actually a show. You know, that was the closest one that I've watched so far that I not only watched to the end, but I went back and I watched the VOD 2 or 3 times over, because it really hit me in the chest, just like the emotion, because having that rawness, those things that you only see when you're in a venue, but getting to see that through the internet, captured in real time and captured cleanly, which is the most important part. It really struck me. And I personally have found that the other ones that I've seen, like MGK's, had a lot of tampering, if you know what I mean. I guess I'll just use that word, but I think you get what I'm saying there. So yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, it's tough because I'm a kind of a firm believer that there's no like one right way to do things. So like I'm the kind of guy where like I will love the Post Malone Travis Barker one just as much as I might love one that's like clearly completely pre-recorded and like edited and mixed well. And the reason I say that is because like there's some artists that like like watching Post Malone do Nirvana covers with Travis Barker is like a really special thing, right? Like that's crazy. Obviously also they're good enough musicians and Travis is good enough and like enough of a pro. Dude, they probably barely rehearsed that shit. You know what I mean? Like
that's what they said.
And it was so like you said, it was like, so
we just
raw.
ran through. Yeah,
it was just so raw, and you could tell it was, and it did invigorate like a certain kind of part of you, and like that shit went like low-key viral. Like everybody was talking about it for a couple days. At the same time, if Post Malone had like played through his own songs with a full band and had like rented out some crazy huge area, like, you know, venue or theater or something, and like had it all like pre-recorded and mixed really well so that it just like sounded insane, and he had like a crazy light show and pyrotechnics and shit, like I would also think that that was cool. So I don't really think there's like one right way to do it. I think people are just figuring it out. It's kind of the same thing with drum videos. Like there's some people who, you know, they do all kinds of magic on their drum videos and they don't even use real drum sounds. And then there's some people who like just raw play through things and it's dope. Like both, it just depends on like what I feel like watching, honestly. I do think there's something to say about like, you can tell if a band can play the songs or not. Like, it doesn't need to be completely raw to like be obvious that you can play. Like, for example, just because I film a drum video and I use 4 different video takes, but 1 audio take, it's like, who cares? Obviously I can play it in 1 take, right? Like the point is like, is it entertaining? Does it sound good? So again, I don't think there's like a set of rules for this. We're all just flying by the seat of our pants trying to figure it out. And I just love seeing how creative people are getting. I'm telling you, go watch the Black Bear one. You'll just be like, what? It's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
Totally.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So one more last one about the live stream, and then this one's personal to you, man. I want to know, going into this performance that you're currently preparing for, is there a difference in mindset from this to like preparing for a tour, or is it basically just the same thing in your head?
It's exactly the same thing, dude. And that's why I'm having so much fun with it. Like, it's been a really positive thing for me because I cannot wait to play music with other people in a room. Like, that's going to be so fun. And B, you still have the challenge of learning the songs, right? Like, no matter how this live stream is going to be recorded or how it's going to end up, turning out or whatever, I still put the same expectations on myself to show up like as rehearsed as human. And so to me, and then rehearse for a day and go on a tour, I could do that and go play shows, and that feels good. Or like if we had a run of shows after this live stream, like I would feel comfortable with these 12 or 14 songs to go play them live. So, but that's just something that I have fun with, man. It's like my favorite thing in the world to do. Literally, my favorite thing to do is to hear songs that someone else wrote and then figure out a way to translate those parts into like a live atmosphere. Like, how much SPD am I going to use? What am I going to take out of the tracks? What am I going to leave in the tracks? When am I going to use a real kick? When am I going to use a fake kick? When am I going to use a snare trigger? Like, am I going to layer a clap onto every, like if there's a part where there's like claps layered over the snares, are we just going to leave those in the tracks, or do I use a snare trigger and like trigger those claps coming through the SPD or coming through Ableton? Like, there's so many variables, and that's what's so fun to me, is sort of like bringing these parts to life. Like, for this artist in particular, there's a couple songs with real drums and a couple songs with programmed, like they're clearly not real drums. Like, they're not meant to sound like real drums. They're like electronic songs. And the question is like, do we use real drums on the choruses? Do we use real drums on the verses? Do we use no real drums? Like, so that's my favorite thing in the world, man. So I'm having a blast with it. And it really does feel like I'm just preparing for a tour, but we only get to play, one show.
Following the same topic about the live streaming. Yeah, sorry, man.
No, you're good. Go ahead, Dimitri.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, following the same train of thought, you as a professional touring drummer, who is, now dipping his toes into the live streaming and, live online events, do you think that this is actually the future of live shows, and are the actual live shows where you're playing in front of real people, not cameras, become more like I don't know, boutique events in small venues, and with all the on-demand videos and live shows accessible on pretty much every platform, are they going to be are they going to substitute the real live shows? And do you think that musicians in general are going to more and more invest in gear that is strictly for streaming, or helping the stream in any way, rather than gear for live performances?
I think that people who are involved in music at a professional level are incredibly resilient by design. Like, because you have to be incredibly resilient to even get to that point. So the fact that the music industry has like basically turned 180 degrees and like figured out how to still bring in a little bit of money, still connect with the fans, still produce content, still keep a creative flow. I mean, it's amazing to watch, but every single person knows that it doesn't do it justice. Nothing will ever replace live music. It can't be replaced. So I do think that eventually things regarding COVID will calm down. The virus will have run its course. A vaccine might show up or not. But I do think that live shows will be back. I think it might be another year, but that's okay. And it's shitty and everyone's dealing with it. And even, even my friends who are in like really big bands, who aren't worried about money, even those guys or gals are just bummed, man. Like they've dedicated their whole lives to playing live shows. So when you don't have that, it's pretty crazy. And so I guess to answer the question, no, I don't think that live streaming will ever take the place of live shows. I do think that the music industry, after this is all said and done, the strong will have survived, and we're going to be a lot more prepared for something like this in the off chance that it happens again in our lifetime. I don't, God only knows, like, I don't think this will happen again, but everybody's more prepared now. Everyone realizes like, oh, okay, like this can happen. I also think that musicians who have spent their lives away from home have had the first chance ever in their adult lives to really be with their kids or their families, or kind of like look into themselves as like a person instead of just as a musician. So like you have to come to terms with the fact that like at the end of the day, you got to find ways to be happy no matter what. And if you're only happy when you're out playing shows, like you're going to be miserable when you're not playing shows. You're also going to be miserable when you retire from playing shows. So I think that's been a really good thing for a lot of musicians. As dark and depressing as it has gotten, like it's forced a lot of folks to really have to like look into their souls and like figure out, what the fuck they're actually about, like as a person, not just as like a performer. So that's my take on that.
Dimitar, you want to follow up?
Well, I've got a couple more questions, but they're for different topics, so it's you, man.
Okay, yeah, one more about the live stuff, and then I know what you have in store, so I definitely want to get there as well. The last thing I want to talk about the live one, and this was a fan-submitted question. When you go back to playing live shows after COVID, would your mindset change in terms of hygiene and equipment setting? Would it be scary to play live shows for you, or would it be super exciting? Yeah.
Oh, man. That's so funny because I've thought about that. I've thought about like when it does come back, what shit's going to be like. I would imagine it's going to be very similar to how life is going right now. So for example, like NBA teams were just playing up until a couple of weeks ago, right? And they were in a bubble, but like right now it's the off season. They're all still at practice. They're meeting with their coaches, et cetera, et cetera. Like people are doing business as usual. They're just taking a lot of precautions. So my guess is touring comes back. And for the first sort of like season of touring, the first couple months, it's going to be like no one else is allowed on the bus. No one's allowed in the green room. You know, we have hand sanitizer everywhere. Maybe people are even wearing masks. I could see that. I could see fans having to wear masks. But I also think that we're going to have a lot more understanding of COVID when they do, you know, by the time shows do come back, let's say 6 months to a year from now, in the sense that like the target demographic of people who go to shows, it's not really the demographic that that COVID is killing. And again, I'm not trying to make this controversial or political in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying that, like,
yeah, of course.
I think we're gonna have. I'm just saying that we're gonna have a lot more understanding of what's going on, and I think that there's gonna be basically like live shows with precautions in place. Is what my guess is gonna be. Maybe like you take a 500 cap room and you only sell 200 tickets. You know, that kind of thing. So we'll see. You know, we'll see. I'm excited for it, man. I'm not scared at all. COVID is scary, but I'm personally like, I've probably already had it. I don't know for sure. Either I'm immune to it or I already had it and now I'm immune to it. I got pretty sick when I was on tour in February, so maybe that was COVID. I don't know. But I'm more afraid for like the people who are at risk, of course. And I'm afraid of it just like spreading faster for no reason. So I can't imagine that shows are going to come back until there's like been months and months of it slowing down. But yeah, I do think you know what, to be honest. Okay. Let me say this last thing about hygiene. I have crazy good hygiene in real life, but like when I'm on tour, I am like, any chance I have to take a shower, to wash my hands, like whatever, I will take that opportunity. And so this, if anything, this will be good I'll be stoked on it because everyone else I'm touring with will also all be like cognizant of hygiene and like washing their hands and shit like that. And I do think that like there will be a less chance because I get sick almost every tour I go on, right? But like the next tour back, there's probably not going to be any like meet and greets. I'm probably not going to be shaking anyone's hands, and everyone's going to be more, you know, aware of what's going on. So I don't know, man. I think it'll work out just great. You know, I'm more worried about and sad for all the venues that are going to close between now and then. There's a lot of legendary venues that I've played that are probably not going to exist by, you know, I turned 30 in February. There's a lot of venues that probably won't exist by the time I, you know, have my birthday. Chain Reaction. I don't know if you guys ever heard of a venue called Chain Reaction.
Of course.
Yeah, it's down here in Orange County. You know, it's about 35 minutes away from me. Legendary venue. It's a small venue. It's not even a venue I even want to play ever again. I don't really care because I've played it enough times, but it's more just sad because of all the memories that have been there and how many bands have like made a statement there and shit, like, and they were good people, you know, they were really good people every time I played there. So it just sucks.
Okay, let's move on from the live stuff and the COVID stuff, and let's talk about what you've got up. Dimitar, hit him with it.
Yep. So prior to this podcast, I wrote my homework and I listened to the line check that you both had. And I just wanted to follow up some of the stuff that you talked in there because it's very interesting, and actually pretty much 90% of all the questions that I could have were answered there. But as far as I understood, and from Wyatt, I know that you're a pretty serious, pretty big hustler, and I heard about, you know, you talking about your song learning process and you making, you know, actually training every day on the drums and, you know, trying to get better. So I just wanted to ask how is your motivation doing in this scenario where you're not touring? Because I know that you said that, you know, you're continuing to exercise even though we're in a pandemic. But is your motivation fading? Is it any less? How do you fare?
That's a great question. At first, I'm not gonna lie. At first, it was a shock. It was a complete shock, and a lot of my motivation was killed just because there was really nothing to work for. It was like I didn't even know when the next show or recording session or anything was gonna be. I went from having things on my calendar to having nothing on my calendar. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just one of those people where like,
Yeah.
if I always have a goal in sight, then it's pretty easy for me to stay motivated. Like my self motivation is through the roof. You know, I pretty much believe that I can outwork anybody. So like I'm not afraid of hard work, but like the depressing times of COVID can get to anybody, man. It doesn't matter how resilient you are. It doesn't matter how hard you work. Like depression is a bitch, and you know, it can get you. And it's not even about how strong you are. It's not about that shit. It's just about like, it's just real life, man. Like lots of people are going through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, so to answer the question, like I personally am more motivated than ever right now. Like literally, but to be fair, I have something to kind of look forward to right now. But even then, before that, I was working on a drum video, right? Like one that I put a lot of time and money into that I haven't released yet. And then right after that, I started working on this live stream. And then right when this live stream's done, I'm going to find something else to work on, just to always like, maybe it'll be another drum video. Maybe it'll be a different live stream. Like, I don't know, but I always try to make sure I have something on the calendar so that I can like have a reason to sit down on the drum kit. That being said, I have a lot of goals that I still have not accomplished. Like I made a vision board this year. About 2 months ago, I put up a vision board in my room, which I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a vision board, but people do it a bunch of different ways. But basically I got one of those like cork boards from like an arts and crafts store. And then I just print off photo. Every time I see something that inspires me, I pin it to the board. So the top of my vision board right now, the first two things I put on there, I put a photo of Staples Center and a photo of sold out Madison Square Garden. Because I haven't played those venues yet. And like, I need to, like, I have to play drums on like the highest level possible. So I have those up there. I have a picture of Kobe. I have a picture of Braun. I have a picture of Robin Williams, just because he was such a legend and he suffered from like depression and anxiety and stuff and ended up taking his own life. And I put him on there because it's just a reminder that, you know, things can get ugly even when it seems like everything is okay. And as a reminder to just like appreciate life while it's here. I also have a photo of Bubba Wallace, the NASCAR driver. And I have a photo of me and my girlfriend. And, you know, I just keep tacking stuff on there that inspires me. So I feel more motivated than ever, man. I got a lot of stuff I need to accomplish with music before I die.
Yeah.
So time is not on my side anymore. You know, it feels like yesterday I was 22.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
feels like yesterday I was 22 years old going, oh dude, I got all the time in the world. I'll figure this all out. And then here I am like approaching 30 in the middle of a global pandemic.
Yeah.
And my career was like working. Like things were working, dude.
Yeah.
I was getting tours, like I was traveling, I was doing everything I wanted to do. Things were going great, and then it just all got taken away. So my theory behind this is like I have to come out of the pandemic better at drums than I was at the start of it. If I come out better at drums, then that's doing more than probably most people have done. So
yeah, totally.
That's kind of how I feel about it.
And speaking of things getting ugly and going sideways, I actually, me and Wyatt have been talking about this topic pretty much all the time, and we've discussed it with our previous guests. So, and I think that you're probably the most right person to ask.
Yeah, sure.
Do you go sometimes to that place where you're overworking yourself, you're over hustling? Because me, for instance, I think I'm pretty oftenly I'm crossing that that line, because you fall in love with the hustle, you fall in love with all the pain that comes from it, and just like even right now, I mean, I'm with fucking COVID and I'm doing a podcast because I fucking love this shit. And
Props.
yeah, and it's I've done this so many times. I've recorded when I was sick. I haven't slept for several days and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about. So
Yeah, of course.
What do you think about that? Do you go to that place? Do you have any any ways you are holding yourself from crossing the line?
Yeah. So yeah, I don't even consider myself a workaholic. I just consider myself like extremely strategic. Like I try to be as efficient as possible with my time and energy so that I can always and I've always prioritized drums. Like it just takes the priority over everything, right? So as far as like overworking goes, I remind myself constantly that rest is a part of productivity. And if you're not getting the right sleep, like you're just gonna kill yourself. You're gonna burn out. And burning out is obviously way less productive than just making small improvements over time. So like I don't know how to describe this the best way, but almost like, I think I've made this comparison before maybe, but like almost like weightlifting. Let's say you want to go from bench pressing 100 pounds to like 125 pounds. And let's say 100 pounds is a lot for you. It's going to take a while to get to 125 pounds. It's not going to happen overnight. Like you're going to have to work at it for a while and make small increments over time. And you're not really even going to notice it. And next thing you know, you're going to wake up 3 months later and you're benching 125. And you're like, wow, I just made, and all it was just a large string of positive steps forward. Like it was a bunch of small decisions. So the way I've always kind of looked at work is like, if you are making millions of like micro decisions that are moving you, that are rolling the ball forward, over time, you might not notice it right away, but every once in a while you can look back and go, wow, like I've improved a lot. I mean, dude, I look at the first videos I was playing with Being as an Ocean at the Empiricon festivals in Europe. Yikes, dude. Not good. Like I'm not proud of those. Well, I mean, I am proud of it, but I'm a different drummer. And that was only 3 years ago. I'm a way different drummer than I was then. So you might not see it when it's happening, but over time, you kind of see these things. So, I just remind myself that sleeping is important, and you need to sleep, you need to get rest, you need to be able to compartmentalize, and just not overwork yourself. It's not worth it, because burning out, you're going to get a lot less done. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome answer. What? It's up you.
Yeah, dude, I wrote down a bunch of stuff I want to talk about from that. The vision board thing, there's no question in this, but the vision board thing, that sparked a bunch of light bulbs in me, because I'm right now I'm at a kind of a weird phase. A big part of it is, well, you know what? A lot of it's similar to what you've been talking about. I mean, like, the reason why I do what I do and YouTube and everything was always to, so that I could do my best to avoid a 9 to 5 while I try and figure out where I'm going to go play shows, And then the YouTube thing became way more than that, and I didn't really get to play shows for a while. But in the back of my head, I've always always there. All right, eventually I'm going to get on stage again. Eventually I'm going to get out and do some runs. Eventually, you know, like all this preparation will set me up and I'll be able to go and make that dream a reality finally. And then when COVID hit, I like didn't even give a shit about what I was doing on YouTube. You know, they're not related, but in my psyche, they're 100% related, right? Well, they are related, but you know what I mean? Like it's not a direct relationship. So it was like tough, man. And ever since that, I've just been battling my own shit with, you know, with the fact that the industry's not playing, with the fact that I can't go to shows, with the fact that there's not even the possibility of me getting hit up at the moment. And then with just like the regular day-to-day shit of the fact that, you know, some days I wish, oh my God, and I don't actually ever wish this, but some days I think to myself, man, if I had the job still, at least I'd be seeing other people, you know, because being a content creator full time, my bed is right behind me and I'm sitting at my desk right now. And that's pretty much my whole existence. And then the studio's in the other room, right? So like the four walls get closer and closer to me every single day, you know? So it's like I'm at this weird spot in my head and I'm just trying, and I feel like I'm starting to get out of this rut, starting to climb the mountain again, figure out, you know, the new, the setting that I'm in now and the challenges and how to overcome some of those. But the vision board was like, oh my God, why haven't I done that again? Because that was something I did when I was younger, but then I threw away. I cast aside. I was like, you know, you just forget, you know, about these habits, these things. So anyone listening to this, I think anybody who has those same feelings, I think now is the time, right? Because there's a lot of people, and not just in the music industry, there's a lot of industries where I can see a lot of people getting stuck, you know, being in a similar mindset to what I just described, what you just described, and the vision board. That was super cool to hear. Super cool to hear.
Yeah, you know, ironically, the person who gave me the idea was a coworker, and you know, I totally relate with what you're saying. By the way, working by yourself all the time. It's in some weird way working a quote normal job, like working a job outside of music, has only increased the motivation. It's made my days longer. It's a lot I have on my plate right now. It's a ton that I have on my plate. I'm working insanely hard, but at the same time, like you know, having this sort of like, I get to see coworkers. I get to interact with people every day. Like, and you know, I'm inspired. I'm really inspired. I'm inspired even by this brand that I work for, you know. You know, the founder, Mike, is just such a rad dude. And like, really, he sees a vision that like, I don't know, he just gets it, you know, and just how supportive they've been of like me and my music and stuff. But I also kind of, I don't know if you guys are into sports at all, but like, this is kind of unique to me, I think. I don't really meet a lot of drummers, especially who are like this, but like, I love basketball. I play a lot of basketball, and I'm so inspired by certain athletes just because their grind is so ridiculous. I mean, imagine making $37 million a year and still waking up at 4 a.m. every day to go do your first workout of the day, so that you can come home, do specific recovery. You're spending all this time and money on trainers. You have like special meals that are weighed out and shit, and then you go back to your second workout, you know, and you got to be a leader of your team. Plus, you got a family at home. You gotta lead your family. Like, you got to be there for your kids. Like, these people work insanely hard, bro. And to have that kind of motivation and like tenacity when you're already making tens of millions of dollars a year is super inspiring to me, because it just shows like their love of the game. It comes up over and over and over again is like the love for the game. Like, at the end of the day, I just love playing drums and I love creating things, and like with or without money, I'm still going to do it. And so like, I just need to like kind of, sometimes I got to dig for motivation. You know what I mean? Michael Jordan used to like make shit up. He literally used to make shit up to like have like fake beef with someone in his head. Like, or like, oh, some coach didn't start him 5 years ago. So he like will just take it out on them. Or like, someone said that a defender on the other team was good, and he heard that in an interview or something. And so he just like would just go at that defender. You know what I mean? Or whatever. Like, so I just have to find things that inspire me. But, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just love playing drums. So it's not ever going to stop. Like, I'm not going to stop doing it for anything. So it is what it is.
Yeah. 100%. That's how, I mean, that right there, the way you close that with, I just love it, I'm never going to stop. That's the reason why you're able to do it at all. Right.
Yeah. And I think that with and I think like something for you with the YouTube thing, like, dude, I get it. And I've actually thought that thought a million times, because you're not my only friend with a bunch of subscribers on YouTube for playing drums. And sometimes I think, like, I wonder if these folks, like, I wonder if their original goal was to, like, actually be out and playing shows, but then they kind of became
100%.
a slave to the YouTube machine. And it's hard to, like, when you have a bunch of subscribers, like, waiting on content for you and stuff, like, how do you leave town for 2 months? Or, like, how do you even, like, do you think that guys who work full time for pop artists, do you think they have time to, like, run a legitimate YouTube channel? They could probably make some vlogs and shit, but, like, there's no way they have the time to put out as much content as you do in as many different platforms. You have, like, multiple podcasts, the line, or like the podcast, the line check, plus you're doing drum covers, plus you're doing, like, reaction videos, plus you're doing, like, video game stuff with your girlfriend. Like, you can't possibly do all that stuff and play full time in a band. Like, you can't.
Yeah.
So
I'd trade it all though.
see, and that's why you're a real one, though. Like, no, that's not. You shouldn't be ashamed of that. Like, you should be like, and you're looking at it from the right lens, man. Like, if 200, I don't know how many subscribers you have now, but if 200,000 subscribers on YouTube turns into you getting a gig that you love, then great, your YouTube channel was a success. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
You can still make YouTube videos. You just don't have to be a slave to it anymore.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And honestly, like, just no transparency, or just being transparent, excuse me. That's really, like, the long term, you know. And I don't know how long that's going to be. I was hoping it was going to be a lot sooner, but then fucking the world shut down and the music industry fell apart. So
Man,
we'll see how what
bro,
happens.
How old are you?
I'm 25.
Okay, so I'm 29, and probably the thing I've struggled with the most when it comes to playing drums and music is I thought I would have had it figured out by now. I thought for sure. I thought no way in hell am I going to be going into age 30 not playing, like, not making a solid living playing drums. Like, I thought no way in hell. And here I am.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
but you know, the weak ones just roll over. They go, well, you know what?
100%.
Fate set in, and, oh, I guess I'm just blah. I guess that's what I do now. And it's just not like that for me, dude. Like, I purposely did not have kids. I purposely did not get married. Like, I purposely like I have an amazing girlfriend who's super supportive. Like, I have everything I need. It's just that, like, I'm not done playing drums, dude. And so don't feel like you have let yourself down, or don't feel like you there's time is still on your side, and, like, you're a great drummer, and there's plenty of open gigs. You're a lot better at drums than a lot of people whose bands you're covering. and eventually eventually that'll come to fruition. So
Thanks, man.
I kind of felt
that means a lot.
Yeah, of course, dude. I felt the same way. I mean, I made videos. I made Being as an Ocean drum covers. I made one Falling in a Verse drum cover, and I did an old 100th drum cover of a hardcore song when they were still a hardcore band. Okay. And I've played with all three of those bands. So it's probably only a matter of time. But like you said, not having shows and not being able to go out and meet people is tough, because it really is just kind of all about who you know. So, but now that I know that about you, you know, if I ever hear of anything that kind of is in the vein of what you want to do, like, you know, if I ever hear of a gig that would make sense for your style of play, like, because I'm not taking any metalcore gigs, dude. Like, I'm not going to do that. It's not for me anymore. But, like, I've gotten offers for some bands that, like, you would rip. So if I ever hear of anything again, man, I'll throw them your way.
There you go. Look at that seed that's been planted. Thank you. I appreciate
there you go.
that, Anthony.
No worries. You got to believe it. Manifest it, dude. Vision
board's going up.
The vision board was $20, dude. Go get one, get some thumbtacks, and start pinning a bunch of your favorite bands on there.
Yeah,
And,
you know what? I think I'm definitely gonna do that. I don't wanna. I hope you won't get mad at this, but I might even do like a video of me making a vision board and why I'm putting whatever on it and kind of thing. That like sparked a whole train of thought that took me places. I was like, oh shit, I wrote a bunch of ideas down after you said that while Dimitar was asking. I was like, damn, I gotta get back to that kind of thinking, that mindset, because that's a reminder. Even if you don't look at it, your subconscious passes it every single day and goes, that's there. What the fuck's going on?
Yeah, I tried not to drive any extra in LA than I have to, but like in LA traffic, my coworker gave me the idea. It inspired me. I had to get in my car, drive down to a Michael's, find the right board, think about how big I wanted it to be. It cost me like $20 or $25. I had to come back. I had to like find things to print off or cut out. Like it took work. And just the act of taking that work to do it, I think helped put my head in a different mindset. And ever since I put that up, dude, it's right in front of my computer. I have to look at it every day. Like ever since I put that up, I don't know what it's doing. I have no idea, but all I know is that it's like giving me so corny, dude, but it's like literally just kind of giving me like a vision. It's like,
no, yeah, of course.
If I wake up and I have nothing to be inspired by, I look at this thing and I look at this photo of Bron and Kobe, like that was taken like 2 weeks before Kobe died. And I look at it and I go, God damn, dude, like two of the greatest players ever. And Kobe's gone. Like he wasn't supposed to be gone yet. And life is short, dude. And you just got to go for it, man. Like you just got to do it. Like you have to. Like there really isn't another choice. Like Tyler from Being Is an Ocean, we were texting the other day. I don't want to speak on his behalf, but I'm sure he wouldn't mind. He said something that I laughed at. He said, I kamikaze this shit. Like he was talking about music. Like for him, it's do or die. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it nothing else matters. And I'm quite frankly pretty similar. So yeah.
I tell a lot of people that, dreams don't exist until you write them down. And that's the concept with the vision board. It's like once you take that thought out of your head and put it somewhere, the very first step, the application of putting that pen to paper, that ink on that page, that's something real. That's something tangible that exists. That's the very first step. And that's the thing with the vision board is when you create that, you've now created something that is real. It's no longer just in your head. That's the first step. Whatever it is, now you have a destination and then and a journey that you've started in acting with that board, right? So
and I've heard of true real life stories of people actually manifesting what they've put on a vision board. I'm not kidding. Like,
yeah, 100%.
Like literally like to a T, like what they put. Like, for example, I fully expect to play a sold out Madison Square Garden one day. And then I'm going to be able to look back and go, hey, remember when I was 29 and I put that photo on my vision board? How funny is that?
100%.
100%. Maybe it never happens. Who knows? But I think it will. I really do think it will. Like,
it will.
I don't see why it wouldn't. Like, there's nothing at this point. It's like, it just has to happen. It just fucking has to happen, dude. So
my favorite metalcore lyrics from 570 by Motionless and White, and it's right before a breakdown. It goes, "If you mean it, you will make it. You'll make it, dude."
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Did you say Motionless is gonna do a live stream? I actually really can't wait to watch that. That's sick.
Today at 5:00 EST. So in 45 minutes.
Oh, in 45 minutes.
Yeah. It's paid. You gotta buy tickets. They sold 2,000 tickets to this thing. It's on their merch site. Wow. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. Yeah. It looks pretty exciting. I'm watching it. Lindsay and I are watching. I'm pretty pumped for it.
So, yeah, keep talking because I'm going to look this up right now because
sure.
I'm going to see if I can figure out if they're actually doing it live or not.
Yeah, that's the thing. Somebody told me about it, and I said that to them. Like, is it going to be like live or is it going to be like broadcasted live?
Dude,
and there's a difference.
There's a big difference, but you're going to be able to figure it out pretty quickly, I think. Like, I just would imagine that if it's actually live, there's going to be some technical difficulties. Like, for example, like the first song is probably going to sound different than the fifth song because if it's actually done live, even if they dialed it in as best as possible before starting, the mix won't still is probably going to change. Whoever's running front of house is probably going to like fuck with the mix a little bit. So
That's such a weird term in that context.
isn't it true? Like I saw, I'm not going to name the band, but I saw a live stream that was like that, where it was like I turned it on and I was watching the first song. I was like, oh, this does not sound good. And then about 5 or 6 songs in, I was like, all right, they're figuring it out. Like it's starting to get dialed in. Like I know they're probably a little bit nervous. It's weird to play a first show. Like, but I mean, overall, it was a great live stream. I'm just saying that like there was a learning curve at the beginning, and so. But if they come out the gate and it looks and sounds perfect, probably was pre-recorded. So
I'm gonna take us back real quick to the vision board stuff because there's one more thing I want to touch on, and I love talking about this stuff. I'm a deep guy. I believe in all this kind of shit. Like what we're talking about. I mean, we did a line check. I feel like we have a lot of similar philosophies. And what happened to me yesterday? I was teaching a student. I have a master's, quote unquote master's class. I basically just teach people, how to make YouTube videos, how to do just all the different facets of what my career is. And
very cool.
And this specific student, I was getting frustrated with him. Not really frustrated, but I said to him, like, listen, man, I'm not gonna say a name, but I'm getting frustrated. He goes, why? I'm like, I don't want to hear any more of this like pitter patter kind of stuff, this in between. I'm like, I need to know. And there was a specific goal that he was working towards. And he goes, maybe one day we'll see, And I'm like, no. If you mean it, you will make it. You have to believe it though. And he's like, but whatever. He brushes me off. And I go, listen to me. It's deeper than that. Okay. The planting that seed inside of yourself and allowing it to grow so that the feelings and everything that is going to take you to where you want to go, allowing that to be in there and admitting to yourself, if you don't have that, it's never going to come true. And here's why. It's because like the butterfly effect, like the butterfly flaps its wings and over time the air currents create a tornado kind of thing, whatever, that like thought experiment. It's the same thing as that. When I believe in something and I go and I put a camera in front of me and I talk or I play or I communicate in some way to the audience on the other side of that camera, they're only going to believe what I believe if I truly believe it. And each one of those
1000%.
people that are receiving that message, assuming I really mean it, each one of those people receiving that message is going to be a piece of air current that will create that tornado later on. Whether it be, and it doesn't, that's one example of it. That's only just one. There's so many other areas in which things will happen, dominoes will fall, assuming you buy it and believe it like it's existing right now in your life. And I don't know. Wanted to say that.
Yeah, I'm the living proof of that.
Tell us why.
Well, because I trusted Wyatt when he was talking in front of a camera like 1 year ago, and here we are having a podcast.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's kind of what I was saying about the making millions of micro decisions. Like, I always tell younger musicians and drummers this. Like, there's this band from Seattle that I back really hard because first and foremost, they're my friends, but they became even though they're like quite a bit younger than me. They range from like maybe 21 to 24 or 25. They're called Avoid. They just got a song in the new NASCAR Heat 5 game, and like, they're gaining some traction. They're doing great. But these kids, I call them kids. They're not kids. They're grown-ups now. But I've known them since they were like 16, 17. Like they were just ripping shows in Seattle, like making all the more seasoned bands look bad. And that's why I started like kind of like, I don't want to say mentoring them because I'm not I'm not gonna be that guy, but I think that I back them so hard because, and I always tell them like it's like their heads are in the right place, and I love that. There's so many people who, for whatever reason, they make excuses, and these excuses could be valid. Oh, I can't do that. I can't go to band practice. Like my college buddy's getting married, or I can't do this because like, I want to watch the Seahawks game or whatever. It cannot be like that. Like you have to spend years and years and years making a bunch of micro decisions that are positively leading towards a career in music. You can't just like sit around thinking about it. And more importantly, you cannot choose other things instead. So there's like people who make excuses and people who like actively choose to do other things. And that's fine. Like if you're going to actively choose to do things that aren't playing drums, that's fine. But don't also expect that you're going to play drums at a high level one day, because you can't do both of those things. Does that make sense?
100%. I have a question that is a follow-up to that. This year, in my life, this year, things have started to go pretty good with the career side. Similar to as you described right before the COVID hit, right? When things were going good for you, maintaining your focus and knowing when to say no. That's what I want to talk about. So something that I've definitely had to deal with is a lot of, like, for a long time, it was no opportunities ever. Nobody wanted anything to do with anything, and it was just me grinding in the basement. But then the opportunities start to roll in and then really start to pick up, and now there's all of these opportunities in front of me. So have you experienced something similar? And how do you decide what's worth your time and what's not? And how do you say no?
Man, if I'm going to be completely honest, I don't think I've ever really gotten to the point where I was getting so much work that I had to like say no often. Like I've definitely said no to tours, and I've definitely said no to like projects. But it mostly came from a place of that I just really wasn't interested in doing it. Like I feel like I'm one of those people where like if I really want to do something, I'll make time for it. So I've never had the luxury of having a ton of opportunities that I really want to do and having to like sort through all of them. That's like a dream to be at that point. That's like where you want to be. That's like the best problem to have, is to have so many good opportunities that you're just like, that you can be nitpicky about the good opportunities.
Hey, no, I didn't say good.
But for me right now, well, there you go. Well, I would say this. You definitely have to hold yourself to a certain standard. Like you can't just say yes to everything, because for me, I don't want my name on everything. Like if like let's say some really shitty band hit me up and they were like, hey, we can pay you like your going rate to record on our stuff, I might not even say yes, just because I wouldn't want to necessarily be attached to that at all.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
100%.
So it's funny you mentioned this too, because I have a thing on my vision board that I didn't mention that is basically Chris and I made it the other day. We call it our rules of engagement. And it's just really important that it's really important that I am actually personally invested in the project. When it comes to music, it's important to me now at this age and like at this experience that I'm actually personally attached to the project. So, yeah, essentially, I don't know. I'm not answering this very well, but essentially, like, I only do stuff that I really want to do. That's how I sort through this stuff. Like, I just kind of you have to brush some stuff under the rug and say no to stuff. It's okay. It's okay to say no. It's definitely okay to say no. And you know, when you start getting paid for stuff, it's like, at some point you have to value your time and have a certain expectation. Like I had a buddy hit me up from Seattle, who I played in a hardcore band with in like 2013 or 14-ish. And I love this guy, right? Great dude. I miss him. I wish we used to fish together. Like I miss hanging out with him. And he hit me up recently and asked me, he's like, hey, been like recording some guitar, like some songs kind of in like the vein of our old band. Like, do you still have your drums set up? Like, can you track some drums for me? And my first thought was, well, Chris is going to need to get paid for this at the very least. Even if I was willing to do it for free, there's no way like I would ask Christopher to do it for free. He's too good. And I value Chris's time. But then I was thinking, well, I also value my time. So like, yeah, if everything was already set up and ready to go and I could just kind of sit down and rip it, yeah, it wouldn't be that much work, but in reality, I hold myself to a really high standard. So I would have to rehearse these songs for a few days, iron out the MIDI parts, like actually make the parts really cool and like translatable to a real drum, because they were just programmed drums he sent me, you know, like alter them, like manipulate them, make them more like kind of palatable, and like write the parts to make the song make sense. Like this is a part of my experience, and like my profession is like all the experience of learning hundreds of songs and like understanding how to play them in a live scenario or on a recording to like fit the song well and all this stuff. And then I'm just sitting there thinking like, this would be even to record 2 songs is a shit load of work. And I probably have to rehead my whole kit. That's going to cost me, you know, $150 and this and that. And then I'm just like, I'm sitting there going like, I can't do this for fun. Like I don't have the time. Like I literally don't have the time to do something. As much as I love this guy and as much as fun as that would be, I can't do it. Like unless I was getting paid. So it is what it is. Like you have to, at some point, you have to know what your time is worth. So it's just, it's part of like the tough decision making that comes with being, you know, a professional. Like, and if someone from like an old local band thinks that like that's howdy towdy, or like, oh yeah, dude, like you know, you forgot where you came from or whatever. Like, no, it's not about that at all. It's like my road has not been easy, bro. Like this is not like, I've given everything to this, you know. I can't just be hit up casually like, oh dude, could you just like throw some drums on this? It's like, it's not that easy. So I hope you get what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying. And you brushed on just before that last bit what the answer that I was kind of hoping that you were going to say, because it was something that I had to come to. I was saying yes to, and this was before YouTube too. I was saying yes, and it actually is playing opportunities, so I can completely relate. I was saying yes to too many playing opportunities, and I was saying yes because for the longest time it was like just play. The more you play, the better you get. But what I started to realize is that I started to hate my instrument, because I was like not really invested in that country band that I said yes to, but now I'm booked for 3 music videos, or pop band that I have to do whatever 30 song set fucking tour with, but it's pop. You know what I mean? So I was curious to hear what your opinion is on that. And I loved your answer, because I think that's something that a lot of guys starting out not too far from the beginning can start to feel. And it can be really discouraging when you hear the message of like, you know, take whatever you can get, like the actors thing. Like once you get to Hollywood, like take everything you can get, say yes. But like knowing what you're truly going to care about, what means something to you is going to mean that you're going to be able to perform to a higher level. And that in turn is going to open up more doors in the end. So saying no to things that just don't truly speak to you can allow for room for you to really be able to knock it out of the park for the things that do come your way that you're interested in.
I agree with the take every gig you can get if you're talking about like age 12 to age like 21. Yeah. If you know how good you are and you feel like you've put your reps in, you can honestly look at a mirror and go like, listen, I've put my reps in. Like at some point I was like, all right, I've done, you know, maybe 7 or 8 like DIY tours where I sleep in Walmart parking lots and stuff. Like, I know I can do better than this. Like, this is not like, that was fun for a while, but like, I can't keep saying yes to gigs like this. I just can't. Like, and that was another thing with like, you know, with kind of like, I actually, you know, this may be somewhere where you and I differ a little bit. Like, I want to play the huge pop gigs. Like, that's what I want. And that's where like my playing is complemented the most, I think. Now for you, like I said no to a sick tour. Like I said no to a gig. It was a great tour. It was a definitely a relevant metalcore band, a gig that I would have done well. Like I would have played the parts really well. It's a gig that you would crush. I'll tell you about it after the call. But like, this was a while ago. But like, at some point I had to say no to stuff like that, because the more I like cornered myself into being a metal drummer, the less opportunity I would get in like pop and stuff like that. And like, ultimately that's what I want to do. And the reason I want to do that is because like, I I want to play the Madison Square Gardens of the world. Like, I want to do it on the highest level. I want the sickest front of house engineer. I want the best monitor engineer. I want the best drum tech. I want to be the best drummer I can be. I want to have the best gear. I want to be like, touring in the night, like with the best crew playing. Like, I just want to do it at the highest level possible because it's so goddamn inspiring when I'm around people who are great at what they do.
Yeah.
And oftentimes I've found in kind of like smaller bands, obviously you're like flying, a lot of bands are just cutting corners left and right to try to like stay afloat. And I understand that. But at some point I had to sort of just like I had to start saying no so that I could like you said, open up room to move a different direction with my career. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So yeah, you got to say no, dude. I don't think you need to say yes to everything. I think it's actually really about working smarter, not harder. Like, you got to work really, really hard to get good at drums. Obviously, there's no such thing as smarter, not harder when it comes to like getting good at drums, because a lot of getting good at drums is just a grind. Like, it's sitting in your room for hours, like playing paradiddles and stuff. And that's not really, you can't work smarter there. Like, you can work a little bit smarter. You can have aim to your practice, of course. You can have purpose to your practice. But at the end of the day, like, you just got to spend a lot of hours doing it. But when it comes to getting the right gigs and stuff like that, it's about positioning. It's about being ready when your name is called. It's about, strategically putting yourself in a place to get the gigs you want, not just like taking every gig possible and hoping that one of them, works out or whatever.
Yeah, 100%. I can relate to what you were saying about the pop stuff as well. I personally am taking this opportunity in MGK's releases to try and move in that direction. But the pop punk stuff being in the mainstream, Travis Barker, Real Drums being on an album and going #1 on Billboard.
Sick.
What, in 2020?
Sick.
The fuck? Like...
It's refreshing, dude. I'm with you on that. It's very refreshing. I love what MGK is doing, and I'm in the same boat, dude. Real drums are coming back, and one thing that's true, nothing is ever going to replace real drums on a stage. Like, you could have all the backtracks in the world, you could have all the shit you want, but there's nothing that replaces having real drums with a real drummer swinging real drumsticks, hitting real cymbals. Like, nothing's ever going to change that feel or look ever. Like, that won't be replaced.
There's a certain quality to the thickness of the sound with a real drummer in comparison to however fat you want to make that bass drop. It just doesn't do it,
Dude, go, like I was saying, the Black Bear stream. He has a full band.
I'm going to check it out, definitely.
Like, just hear me out on this. You're going to watch it and go, what? Like, it adds so much to have real drums. God, it adds so much. So yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. All right. Well, guess we can wrap this up. This was a real pleasure, man. I really, really enjoy sitting down and getting the opportunity to chat with you, both first in Line Check, now here on Under the Shell. So thank you so much, Anthony, for taking the time, my dude.
Yeah, it was an honor, man. Thank you very much for joining us.
Of course, you guys. Thank you so much. I had a great time. Dimitar, I hope
Thanks, man. I'm so
better.
sorry about the technical difficulties. It's not my best day today.
Oh, it's okay. No, dude. No, it's all worried. It's all good. I've experienced every podcast technical difficulty that you can think of, so don't worry. I know how it is. Wyatt, I look forward to the day that we can actually meet in person and hang out. I'm sure it will happen at some
open
point.
this border.
And Dimitar, next time I'm in Bulgaria,
just stop by, bro.
Which
just swing by.
What's Bulgaria next to?
Oh, it's next to Romania, Greece, Turkey.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at it on a map now. Oh, that's where Bulgaria is, dude. Well, the closest I've probably played is like Budapest. How far away is Budapest from you? Like,
I think it's
is that pretty far?
1,000
Looks like it's pretty far.
kilometers.
That's not too far. It's like what, 500, 600 miles?
I don't know. Your metrics are
It's like 700. Well, what's that in time? I only speak in hours in the car.
621 to miles.
I don't know. Like, you'd be like, that's 1,200 kilometers. I'd be like, so like an hour in the car or 2 hours in the car? Like,
What city do you live in?
I'm in Sofia. Yeah.
Sofia. Sofia to Budapest flight. Here we go. Holy shit, there's no flights that do that.
Well, in the coronavirus, for sure.
Oh, yes, that's right. That's right.
But if you happen to
That's
stop
very
by,
true.
just, shoot me a message. I will do whatever it's needed for us to meet.
Oh, it's an 8-hour drive.
Oh, well.
Well,
That's not bad.
who knows? Anyway,
On
that's
a
not bad.
tour, that's 2 shows.
Well, yeah, thank you.